what Leslie said worries me because of somebody I know, young brother of a friend of mine, who was persuaded to cash in he has cognitive disabilities. He was persuaded just early 40s to cash into his superannuation. That was ripped off him. And then when his mother died, he came into about $500,000, and that was also ripped off him. So I'm worried about that sort of thing. Now, another case, also a friend of mine, Carol, her husband was killed with a hammer, somebody who came to the front door, and she's been maimed, and she's now victim of crime. She got 42,000. Now she'll need care for the rest of her life. Her friends are trying to get her into care, and she can't afford to get into the care she needs, and the other places won't take her because they can't look after her. Now, one other thing to mention is that the people in TAC and also work cover in Victoria, this has been subcontracted to insurance companies. Now, the insurance companies' first duty is to their shareholders. So
there are a few issues there. The first one about the ripping off of money. I don't think the proposed scheme would be exposed to that. There's no notion of giving large lump sums. The criminal injury one, the available lump sums through criminal injury in Australia are paltry. I agree with that. I think that will be supported by the new scheme. And the third one, which was about outsourcing management to insurance companies, there's no proposal in the scheme to do that. So I think that's...
Well, maybe just because there's a gentleman there, and then we'll come to the gentleman in the front. Another one there.
John Andrew from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. So you mentioned that there was a poor evidence base in the current system. What have you proposed specifically to improve the evidence base going into the future, and also for the management and of measures indicators for the success of the scheme into the future?
Andrew, I think what's needed to run a scheme like this is really a full understanding of the need of the support need of the population, and that can't be understood on a granular level by sampling and surveying. So what we need is a longitudinal database, similar to what is developed by the liability insurance companies, which would cover not only people's demographic characteristics, in workers' comp, it's things like occupation, etc. In a disability scheme, I'd advocate it's things like support need, natural supports, outcomes, utilisation of supports, cost of supports from a governance level. So a fully comprehensive longitudinal database, which over time would build up the information and the benchmarking to allow proper governance and proper outcomes.
Can I just comment on that as well, because I think that's also about balancing conflicting issues here. I mean, certainly in my preparation for this report, people have raised issues in me about the heightened concerns about the heightened surveillance with some of this data issues. For example, even for the assessment of natural supports, some of those issues would be documented. I know certainly in my state of Queensland that's been an issue, even the registration of disabled people. The whole notion that you're a card-carrying disabled person and some person in a database has got access to this, particularly with issues around educational and employment discrimination. So I think they are the sort of issues that are going to be talked about and need to be sort of sorted through, is how to collect data that's useful for planning, but at the same time for people's anxieties to be factored in and addressed regarding where they're currently getting help, particularly in getting help that's strategic to get around lack of funding.
All right, thank you all for your presentations. I enjoyed them all. I was interested to hear Fiona talk about causation and, you know, that issue being raised again. And I suppose the report for me suggests some ambivalence around the health issue and whether people with chronic illness-related conditions will qualify for this scheme, particularly if you have physical frailties and that you require attendant care support and possible supported accommodation. Clearly, some states in their definition of disability now include chronic illness and episodic, yeah, you know what I'm saying, episodic illnesses, sorry. Do people think that if you have a sufficient level of, say, severe need in this area that you may qualify for this scheme?
Can I just briefly respond to it? That I point out to the Australia's Health 2010, it becomes very clear if you do not meet and respond to people's chronic health or impairment needs, what will happen will be the promotion of additional impairments and health needs. So in fact, it actually makes good economic sense. I think some of the categories and the differences between episodic, I noticed the report, for example, is still thinking through issues around whether mental health issues. I think there's some assumptions also, and you made this point in your talk this morning, that the health system is in fact meeting many people with chronic health conditions needs already. I think that's very, very problematic.
I think I don't disagree with those comments. The question for, I think, the Productivity Commission is, should it be the responsibility of a new disability insurance system to meet the shortcomings of the health system, or should the health system meet those needs? If by trying to meet those needs, the disability insurance system becomes so cost prohibitive that it doesn't get up. No, clearly the answer to your question is yes, those needs should be met. But the question of who they should be met by, I think, is a moot point.
I mean, if I can just butt in there too, it's certainly going to be an area of the submissions that we, in the disability sector, put, to the final report, that it's an omission, and clearly the support needs of people who live with chronic health and episodic health conditions are very similar to in terms of the support needs, and there is that difficult intersection, which, as John said earlier, the Commission is actually seeking further information from the community about how we sort of set the barriers between what is covered by NDIS and what then is legitimate, what we can legitimately expect as health treatment from the medical system. So, certainly I think the peaks, if I'm correct, Leslie, would be of the opinion that we would think that people in that category should be definitely under NDIS.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the, I guess, this is one of the legacies of the system that we've already got, is that we keep categorising people in different things. So we say, if you're over the age of 65, then you're an aged person. But we don't think of, the only reason you need support when you're over age 65 is because you've got a disability. And we do that with the chronic health system as well. So that's why I really think we have to go back to Fiona's point about looking at causation. Let's forget about what causes the disability. Let's just say you have a disability. So it's irrelevant whether you've got the disability because you've got MS, or because you've got HIV, or because you've had a car accident or whatever else, or because you're over the age of 65. It's what support you actually need to be able to go about your daily life. So it's not about how you acquired the disability or what sort of disability you've got. It's about what supports do you need. And I really do think we've got to move towards, and whether it's practical in the next 10, 20 years, I don't know, but we've got to move towards a system of support for all people that's absolutely seamless, that just doesn't stop when you reach a magical age, or that, that when something else happens.